So after highlighting these concepts, let's go back to the first derived trait. This is the alteration of generations. So we have two multicellular stages in land plants. The first one, we call it Gametophyte. So as a side note, whenever you see this suffix phyte, it refers to a plant. So Gametophyte is a stage in plants. This is characterized by so Gametophyte is a haploid stage. It produces, from the name itself, it produces the gametes, and this gametes will be produced from the gametophytes through the process of mitosis. Why? Gametes are haploid and gametophytes are haploid, so to maintain the same number of chromosomes we will use mitosis. Then fusion of the gametes will give us the diploid structure. This is the second generation. It's called sporophytes. So sporophyte is diploid because it is resulting from fusion of two haploid gametes, and this sporophyte will give rise to haploid spores. So remember, sporophyte is a diploid structure, spores are haploid structure. So how can we move from diploid to a haploid number? This will happen through the process of meiosis in order to reduce the number of the chromosomes. So this figure summarizes the process of alteration of generations. So most land plants, they have two distinct stages. The first one is gametophyte. So this structure here is the gametophyte, and as you can see, this is a multicellular stage. It is not a unicellular cell, or it's not one cell. This structure is actually composed of many cells. Remember, two multicellular stages. So the gametophyte and the sporophytes, both of them are multicellular stages. So the gametophyte is a multicellular stage. It produces the gamete. The gametes are haploid. The same for the gametophyte, it is also haploid. So what will happen through mitosis, steps of mitosis, we will have the gametes, then fusion of two different gametes from two different plants. We will have the zygote. Fertilization will give us the diploid zygote. This zygote is unicellular. What will happen by mitosis, which is multiplication of the cells, this cell of the zygote will multiply and multiply and multiply, so we end up with a multicellular structure. And if you remember, mitosis maintains the number of chromosomes, so the sporophyte will be also a diploid structure of 2n. Then through the process of meiosis, we are going to reduce the number of chromosomes into half. We will end up with spores which are haploid. These spores will grow through mitosis. So mitosis, as you remember, results in the multiplication of cells. So multiplication of cells, we will end up with the gametophyte, which is a multicellular structure. Again, it is haploid because mitosis maintains the chromosome number. So as you can see here in the key, all the parts shown in this green color, they are haploid structure. Those in this light brown color are the diploid structure. So this is a general scheme or figure showing the alteration of generations. We will go in the next videos in more details about groups of plants. Some groups of plants, we will see that the gametophyte is the dominant stage. In some others, it is the sporophytes, which is the dominant stage. But the general concepts are the same. So please go back and revise this figure together with this slide because it's an important part to understand the next groups of plants when we move on to discuss them in more details. So This was the first derived trait, the alteration of generations. The second derived trait is the presence of walled spores. These spores are produced in an organ called sporangia. So remember, sporophyte is a stage. This stage produces the spores. These spores are not produced like in the air. They are not free. They are produced within an organ. This organ is called sporangia. Then if you zoom in to individual spores, you will find that the spores are characterized by having a thickened cell wall. It is made of a material called sporopollenin. So the sporopollenin and this thickening is really important for providing resistance to harsh environments. Remember, the spores will be released like that, and the environment in lands, as we discussed, is not always predictable. So because of that, to resist the harsh conditions on land, these spores are thickened with sporopollenin. So let's revise. We have two stages, gametophyte and sporophyte. Sporophyte is the whole structure. Then spores are produced in an organ. Can you see this like structure, that this capsule at the top? So this capsule at the top is the place or the organ where the spores will be produced. So this capsule is called sporangium. This organ is called sporangium. So the whole thing is the sporangium, and within the sporangium, this reddish or purple colored are spores. Then if you zoom in to these spores, you'll find these spores characterized by having sporopollenin to give them the resistance. And if you can see, they are thickened cell walls made up of sporopollenin.